I've got to say, first of all, that's a pretty fantastic T-shirt right there.
Oh, thank you very much.
And actually, it brings me to the main event. It seems on paper that maybe both you and Gregory could qualify as violent athletes, heavy hitters. Do you look at this fight in the same way?
Well, absolutely, yes. I definitely see a lot of the opponents in the UFC as that, especially in the middleweight division. They're big, and they're not too big to be fast and athletic and stuff like that. So, and Gregory is no exception. You know, he's a big guy, exceptionally big, 6'3", and yeah, a big guy. So it's hard. He goes in there, throws down. He has had exciting fights in the UFC. So, but as in all my fights, I plan on going in there and being the bigger fighter. I know I've said this before, and it hasn't really, and I feel like especially my last two fights, it hasn't really been. I haven't held to that, but I'm always looking to get better, find the mistakes I make, and uh, fix them.
How do you change that then, right? As you said, the last two fights weren't able to show that. Is that then something you have to think mentally approach it in the fight, or do you just change things in training and go, right, be more aggressive in sparring? How exactly do you try and change that?
Well, it's for me, it's just understanding what was taking place, what has taken place, that I didn't want from those fights, and assessing where that was coming from, the origin of whatever mistakes I was making, and making those adjustments. Um, you're right. Most of them are. I feel like most of them are mental. Most of them were mental for those last couple of fights, and it's definitely going to have a physical effect.
Do you feel in some ways, right? You've been around, you're the name fighter here, that you're giving, an up and coming guy an opportunity here. Do you feel like you're sort of giving Gregory an opportunity to build something off your name?
No, I think he's pretty much earned what he's done. Um, I guess you can consider me the sacrificial lamb in that regard, right? But this is the name of the game. We fight each other, so I don't I don't have any. I try to separate that emotional aspect from what we're doing here. This is a business. We're doing business. Um, so that's just it. And plus, my last two fights were of the same essence, if you will, fighting up and comers who are. Um, I can't remember the term that you put. I don't even want to say it again because I didn't like the way it sounded.
Okay.
But same situation again.
For what it's worth, I don't think no matter what fortunes you're in, anyone would ever consider you a sacrificial lamb. I think it's a little bit too dangerous to be going in there and.
Tell that to Gregory.
Yeah. um, One thing that is interesting at the moment is your division doesn't take very long for things to change, right? DDP suddenly come out. He's now this dominant champion. Obviously, his Hamzat ahead of him. But outside that, you've got Imavov had a good win and stuff. But there just seems like there's room for guys to rise the rankings real quick when there's a new champion sort of looking for contenders. Would you agree?
Um, I don't know. I mean, that that onus will be put on the guys who are facing off against the contenders, i.e., myself. Right? I'm losing the fights against these up and comers and opening the door for them. I don't want to say it, but it's not that I found myself in a gatekeeper sort of position, but kind of smells like it if you're on the outside. You know what I mean? But shit, I don't. I'm just analyzing it for you. You know what I mean? You're asking the question, and I'm doing some analysis on it. This isn't how I feel. I don't really consider all this shit when I'm thinking about what I'm doing on a daily basis or when I'm matching up with these guys. Um, I'm just getting prepared to go to war with another big up and comer.
And listen, last one for me. You feel like it could be a war in there? Do you think that it's just going to be two guys trading big shots, or you think that your experience will outclass this guy?
I don't want to have any wars. I never do. You know what I mean? I want to go in there and have a dominant performance. I almost tripped over the word dominant there. I think I did trip over. But I want to go in there and have a dominant performance. You know what I mean? And it will look even more dramatic. It'll look even more drastic because he's so imposing. He's so much bigger than me. Um, but I'm just getting in there. I'm just going in there, getting ready to perform against another high-level opponent. That's as simple as I would put it.
What do you think of last week's main event, if you watched it?
That was a championship fight.
Yes, correct.
Right? Yes. What do I think about it? Another one in the books, right? And still, congratulations to both competitors for making it out. Not as concussed as everybody hoped they would to the death. You know, everybody keeps repeating and throwing it in Sean's face. But, you know, it was what's the word? A scrap as expected. You know what I mean? DDP fought as expected. Sean Strickland fought as expected. And we got ourselves another championship match in the books.
Did you? So you saw the fight went basically how you thought it was going to go?
Yeah, I never think a fight is going to go one specific way. This is why I don't like picking fights. I don't bet. I don't gamble. Especially when it comes to mixed martial arts. You know, my love for the fight will never allow me to maintain a level of absolutism. You know what I mean? Unless I'm thinking about myself being the best. But other than that, anything can happen in this sport, especially when you're dealing with people who train on a daily basis. This is all we do. This is all we think about. And this is all we, you know what I mean? And, you know, I lost track of where I was going, but that's. I hope you guys got it.
I did. And you know, you kind of mentioned like to the death. Sean was saying to the death, and a lot of people are coming out and just roasting him and talking about him. And Chell and DC were in here earlier, and they're like, why is this a big thing? Everyone talks, like everyone tries to sell a fight. What was your what's your kind of thoughts on, you know, Sean talking this big game and then not, I guess showing up in a sense?
I don't really have any thoughts on that. I thought he went in there and competed for 5 rounds in the world title match and came up on the short end of the stick with a broken nose. So, you know, people wanted him to sustain more damage than that. I mean, we live in a sadistic world, right? Where people want to see other people go through some sort of pain and take pleasure out of that. That's what you guys are doing. Don't you guys realize that? No? All right. Enjoy the fight Saturday night.
Is it cool that Eric McConaughey will be fighting the night before you fight?
Absolutely. My guy is going to war for a title of his own. You know what I mean? Not that this is a title for me. It's always for the title. But, yeah, my guy's going to war. I want to be in his corner, help him get ready. He's in my corner helping me get ready. We're going to tag team.
When is Alec Lorenz going to make it to the UFC?
You know what I mean? He keeps doing what he's doing. It won't be too much longer. 2025, the Red Hammer makes an impact, right?
It's savage. He's dangerous.
He's very dangerous. He's only getting better, pushing me, helping me getting better. He's been. I'm glad you brought him up because he's been integral for me in this camp and making some adjustments. In all camps, we all have, you know, good days and bad days, and in this camp, on one of those bad days, some of his words really helped me overcome it, and he sacrificed himself being a sparring partner of mine, and I think it really helped. And I guess I'll thank him personally on camera now. Thank you, Alec, the Red Hammer Lorenz, the Viking in the house at the MMA lab is going down. Big guys are stomping loudly out of there, so it's going. Yeah, thank you.
Last one for me is, you know, there is Alec, there's Eric, there's Abdul. He's a little smaller, but who is someone else that the fans need to be looking that's coming out of the lab, a prospect that no one knows about?
Oh man, so many guys on the fight team. Now I got to think. That'll take a while. Let me think if I can pull some up right off the top of my head. I have to start with the bigger guys. Brady's been doing good. He'll keep doing good if he gets fights. You know what I mean? His fights keeps falling through at the last minute. Kai's been hammering people. The MMA Lab team. It's hard to put them on. You know what I mean? Follow them on Instagram. You'll see what's going down.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I know you're going in there and you're training, you're doing these things. You've been doing this for a minute. Is it a matter of when you go into these fight preparations, is it just tweaking what's worked for you, or are you still learning new wrinkles? Are you still learning new things in the game still at this point?
It's always a learning process. This is one big learning process, one long journey. You know what I mean? So yes, adding new things, trying new things, throwing. I don't want to say throwing out old things. Yeah. Keeping the things that work, of course, absolutely right. Building, trying to make those better. Just trying to get better at everything, you know.
Is there anything that from your very beginning, you like you said you get rid of the stuff that doesn't work? When you think back to when you started this, was there something that you did in training that now you're like, man, I can't believe I used to do that sort of thing back when I was training, or maybe even just a fight week prep?
No, I've always had good teams around me. Even in Alaska, I had a good team. And after the Alaska, it was always MMA Lab, and MMA Lab is world class. So, no, I've always had a good team around me to help guide me through these processes. And what was the question again?
No, that's pretty much it. You know, if there was something that you don't do anymore that maybe that you realized at the point wasn't good for you, but it sounds like you've had the right people around you kind of helping shape your career.
Yeah. Yes. Helping me as I go along. I wouldn't say, yes, helping shape my career. I guess you can put it that way.
But what's interesting, I don't know if you got to see any of the guys by the time you got here, but the Ultimate Fighter guys are here as well. So you got guys that are just starting their journey with trying to get into the UFC. And here's someone like yourself that's, been in the game and, has been with the UFC for quite a while. I don't know if you saw any of those guys. And, when you see guys like that or know of those guys, what is something that you would maybe impart to guys that are starting their journey, trying to get in the UFC, that you've learned that if you could tell them to take that moment, what would you say to those guys that are about to enter into the house?
I don't know. Ultimate Fighter is a different experience from what I'm told. So don't make a fool of yourself. That's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't make an ass of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Represent yourself to the fullest. Yep. You know what I mean? Because it's going to stick with you for the rest of your career. What you do in this house is going to be your first impression. So what kind of first impression do you want the world to see? You want them to see a guy who's rambunctious and a clown, no self-discipline, or a guy who's driven, really focused on the sport? You know what I mean? The Khabib, the next coming, or some crap like that. The next coming. I don't know. What weight classes are these? Yep. Flyweight and welterweight. So you know what I mean? But to each his own. There's no one size fit all in this game. We've seen guys wear their ass on their shoulders and make millions of dollars, right? And we've seen guys come in with the loudest mouth and make nothing, right? And let your actions always speak louder than your words. No more. That's enough gems for you guys. Write a book.
Who do you think is going to do a better job of coaching those young fighters, DC or Chael?
I think DC has. I don't know. I think DC is a more active coach. I don't know what Chael does when his non-broadcasting and podcasting time. So I don't know, but DC's pretty busy too. Yeah. They're both smart guys. I mean, they're both MMA legends. They're both insane level wrestlers who still love the sport, who still are ingrained in the sport of wrestling. I think those competitors on the show have some good guys to be coaches, to have coaching. I mean, DC I think is a maniac when it comes to winning. I know Chael doesn't like losing, yep, but he can take a loss and make it look good. You know what I mean? Yeah. DC does not look good when he's losing. We've seen his cry face, not to I guess to take a joke at him.
Yeah. Well, going back to your fight, and I know you said earlier, you kind of separate the emotions going in a fight. We can try to keep it more in business. Your opponent opposite of you, this is his first main event. Can you remember back to your first main event and what sort of nerves and excitement that happened that fight week? And do you think that plays into anything on the fight week? His very first time signing his face on a poster, all that sort of stuff.
I mean, it might. I don't really know Gregory personally. There's a lot of factors for me to make that assumption. But for my first main event, I remember it vividly because it was glorious. Copenhagen, Denmark, which is a beautiful country. They call it the happiest country in the world. and it was really nice when I was there. It was Jack Hermance's, essentially his hometown, his region. You know, everybody. It was kind of like the fight before that when I went to Brazil, but everybody was against me. You know what I mean? Everybody was for Hermance, and I went in there and put him away in the second round. And you know, I flew first class for the first time on the way back. So, but it was first time flying first class, and that was freaking awesome. Yeah, and it was good, man. I guess the things started opening up more after that one.
I get the last question. You know, the fight could play out many different ways, but what's your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Hit him often, hit him hard. No pity patty shots. No trying to keep him off of me. You know what I mean? Do what I got to do to put this man away. You know what I mean? Again, part of the anyway. So yes, not get hit by him, not find myself in any brawls with him unless he's on chicken legs or something like that. But brawling wouldn't last long. You know what I'm saying? If he's brawling, it doesn't last long. But if I'm brawling, it ain't gonna last long. You guys haven't really seen me brawl in there. Anyway. But yes, hit him often, hit him hard, be faster than him, and don't get hit. Stay moving, stay hard to find, hard to hit, and not just move around and relinquish space against this person. So yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I'm already giving you too much.
I like it though. Looking forward to it. Best of luck on Saturday.